Hey everybody, today I wanted to do a little tutorial on one of my compositions that is probably the most difficult to solo over, and it's a tune called Waltz for Lavignia. There are two versions that I recorded. The very first is on the duo record, The Color of Sound, with Joe DiOrio, and then I did a trio version on the DBT record, Leaving Argentina, which is a little different of an arrangement than the one Joe and I did, but it follows the same form of the tune. So I've included a PDF of the chart, and this is part one because I'm going to break it up into several parts. It's an extremely difficult tune to solo over because there are changes that you might look at and think, well, I could play this particular, tone center and get away with it, and there's a lot of notes you can't put in to certain parts of this tune, and I'll explain more in detail. This is a lot like Jobim's tunes, and I'm very proud that I was able to write this piece of music because of my catalog of over 150 tunes that I've recorded over the last 35 years. This one really stands out, and it's one that I have a challenge playing as well. So let's just look at the melody real quickly. And the first four chords are D major 7, and then it goes to a G minor 7, and then to a B minor 7, and then it goes to an A flat major 7 sharp 11. And I can tell you, when I wrote this piece of music, I had in mind the melody with those four chords. That's the first thing I came up with, was this chromatic melody starting on this note right here, which is a B, and it basically was to do this motif. And it follows the chords. Now when I play the chord melody, you can see I grab the D major 7 like this with the open B string, because that top note here is in the melody, so it's... And for the G minor 7 I have to grab the B flat to the C like this, and then for the B minor 7 I'm grabbing it like this. There's the melody note, and then I'm resolving on it. So that cadence was something I heard, and I immediately played it a bunch of times, and I wrote it down, and that was the beginning of Waltz for Lavignia. It's a very interesting thing because it was my intention to take that motif, and we talk about motifs for soloing a lot in the videos that I've done for good reason, because soloing, and I've said this before, is a lot like composing. It's just that when you're composing, you're doing it in step time. When you're soloing, you're doing it in real time. But you still put the tools together to solo in step time. And I learned a lot about this tune from writing it, because when I wrote this tune, it was for the Color of Sound recording with Joe, and I wrote it specifically for him to play over. I knew the kinds of changes that I was hearing in my head that I wanted to do, and I'll get more specific about each section later on. But it's a challenging tune to play, first of all. I didn't solo on it. I just comped. And when it came time to perform it live, it became a staple tune for the DBT, and my brother enjoyed soloing over it at the end with the drums. So I had to really shed to figure out how to solo over this because it's very complicated. But one of the things I can talk about is that those four chords, the way I look at it is, if you outline the center of the chords, meaning for the D major 7, you can outline the F sharp minor, and then basically go up a half step to G minor. Now you're going to go back down to what would be D or B minor, and then the A flat major 7 sharp 11. You've got this top note here, which is a D. So you can think of it again as being kind of an E flat major. It's revolving around D major and kind of E flat, but the G minor is an interesting chord because what that is really is it's an altered dominant in the key of D. So if I took this chord shape here, D major 7, and then I played an A7 as this B flat over A, you can kind of hear the tone quality, and then I'm going to B minor 7. So I didn't use that as the root note, I went to the G, but still it's the same timbre. you'll notice is that when I go to the B minor 7, there's a D on top, and then of course there's a D on top when I go to the A flat. And that's what I heard as that cadence. I didn't know where I was going to go from there. Those are the first pieces of the puzzle. So in this tutorial I'm going to stop there. But I'm going to tell you those first 4 chords are a bitch to play over. It's not that easy, but there's a couple things that I've been able to do with this tune now over the years, and I'm still working on it. That's the beginning of Waltz for Lavignia. The PDF of the whole chart is there. I'm including the MP3 of the David Becker Tribune version from Leaving Argentina. And in the next segment, I'll talk more about where this goes from after those 4 chords. Because what happens then is I have a series of chords that stay constant for 4 bars, and it changes the tonality, but they're also very difficult to solo over because you have to make the connection. So anyway, thanks for subscribing. Enjoy. See you soon.